Hello, everyone. We want to welcome you to our webinar today. We're excited to have Mitch Brown from Datahaven with us. Mitch will be presenting on paperless redefined. Ever ask yourself, where's the file? Well, Mitch has the answer for you. And before I pass it over to Mitch to cover on this topic, I would like to remind you that we are recording this session and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again, or if you would like to share it with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them into the questions box and we'll get them answered during the session. And then we'll also have a Q&A time for additional questions at the end. All right, so now I'm going to pass it on over to Mitch to kick off our presentation.
Thank you, Angie. I want to thank Angie and the rest of the Innovia team for allowing us to present to you today. As Angie mentioned, my name is Mitch Brown, and I'm the sales director here at Datahaven. And just to kind of give you a brief overview as to what we're going to be covering today, I'm going to start off with a brief history about Datahaven, the company, and how we got into the dynamic space. From there, we'll move on to what differentiates Datahaven from some of the other document management solutions that are on the marketplace before going into a demonstration of the software. And then, of course, I'm going to finish up with some time for Q&A, but if you do have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them into the Q&A panel. To give you a little background about Datahaven, most people refer to us as Datahaven for Dynamics, but the company name is actually Torrential Data. And our roots begin in the mid-90s in the enterprise document management space. Torrential Data developed a series of components that still serve as the basis for the Datahaven product today. The company did a lot of work with large organizations that were looking for a solution to embed within their custom ERP and CRM solution, specifically around document management and approvals. And obviously, over time, the custom ERP, CRM world went away, and the team started looking at other areas where we could leverage our skill set, experience, and technology. And that's how we landed on the Dynamics platform. Our team has integrated our solution with all the Dynamics platforms, first releasing support for NAV and Business Central, which we're going to be focusing on today. But we've also followed suit with offering integration with Dynamics F&O and most recently CRM. And as a company, we're embracing the latest technology with both private and cloud-based hosting options. So I'm not going to bore you with a series of slides to review all of Datahaven's features. But suffice it to say, with over 450 document-centric features, Datahaven can handle any document management requirement an organization may have, whether it be simply emailing out a purchase order, attaching a customer PO to a sales order, or full OCR data entry. And if you come across a feature that's not in the current solution, our team can probably add it pretty easily. So what differentiates Datahaven from other solutions in the market? For starters, Datahaven is embedded throughout Dynamics. So we have organizations covered, whether they're looking to attach information to sales or purchase transactions, as well as journal entries. This is a key feature to consider when looking for a solution. Organizations want one that's going to be seamless to their users, and Datahaven's integration with Dynamics, NAV, and DC achieves that. Datahaven also provides the ability to integrate with Outlook. This integration allows non-Dynamics users to search for documents that have been linked to Dynamics transactions directly from the Outlook interface. Datahaven can also be configured to allow those users to not only view the files, but also to be able to approve a transaction within Dynamics, such as a purchase requisition or a vendor invoice directly from the Outlook interface. Datahaven also has a full suite of document automation tools. These include the ability to render and archive Dynamics transactions automatically, automate data entry with our OCR engine, and workflow automation, like the posting of a purchase order once a vendor invoice arrives and goes through the OCR engine. These are all great features, but what really sets Datahaven apart from the competition is our deep data linking and virtual folders. It's patented technology that I like to refer to as our secret sauce. As many of you probably know, there are extremely complex relationships among records and transactions within Dynamics. With Datahaven, users don't have to know or keep track of these relationships. Datahaven pragmatically uses Dynamics information to identify and manage the relationship, not just among records and transactions stored in Dynamics, but also the relationship of the corresponding documents and other unstructured content that's stored in Datahaven that relates to these transactions. For example, when you add a document to a sales transaction, Datahaven identifies and maintains the relationship not only to, let's say, the sales quote, but also the sales order, invoice, the customer card, and the cash receipts journal. So that document can be visible in all of those areas. If the sales order is a drop ship creating a purchase order, those files can also be viewed directly from the purchase order that's created within Dynamics. This is all done behind the scenes with no additional input from the users, but it's only half the story. If the information is not organized, it will become useless as the number of files grow. Consistency in file naming and storage location is often overlooked, but it is key to the success of any document management implementation. Datahaven programmatically names the file that is being stored against the Dynamics record, which means companies are no longer at the mercy of individuals storing documents using their own naming convention. And that may not make sense to other people within the organization. The main goal of any document management system is to ensure that users can find the information they need quickly and easily. And this has become increasingly important as more and more people are working from home. I recently read an article that identified that as people have transitioned to working from home, they're finding it more difficult to find information within their systems because proper file naming is not being followed. Datahaven automatically files supporting information according to a filing protocol that's determined during the initial setup. This ensures consistency, which results in users once again being able to find the right files quickly and easily every time. And the folder structure can be rather simplistic, as you see on your screen now, but depending on a corporation's requirements, that folder structure can become a little bit more complex and granular, or extremely complex. As you can see on the right-hand side, the folder structure for this particular purchase order allows users to easily navigate between vendor communications, supporting files, any invoices or receipts that have been attached to this specific purchase order. Now, this folder structure not only allows for users to easily find information through its enhanced visibility and enhanced navigation, which I'm going to show in just a moment, but it also allows an organization to offer enhanced security. Now, what do I mean by that? Is with this folder structure, we can put user rights on each particular folder so that only the appropriate people can access files within a particular record. And this can be extremely important if you're attaching files to an employee card, for example. As I mentioned before, Datahaven is integrated throughout the Microsoft Dynamics platform with BC and NAV is what we're going to be focusing on today. During today's session, we're going to not only focus, we're going to be focusing mainly on purchasing and payables, but I did want to highlight the fact that Datahaven can be deployed throughout Dynamics NAV and BC. So if you want to be able to attach to sales or warehouse or an item card, fixed assets, Datahaven is going to support all of those pages within the system. We also support various ISV solutions. So if you're working with an ISV partner, there's a good chance that Datahaven can support attaching information to those records as well. Now, before I go into the demo and in talking about the various pages that we attach to, I did want to identify the fact that Datahaven offers a variety of automation levels, and these can not only be deployed by company, but department within the company. With our basic automation, it's going to allow users to attach files to records using our virtual folder and file naming protocols. And the users can do this either using importing, drag and drop, or scanning of information. With our intermediate automation, that's where we're going to offer workflows and the ability to, let's say, route a purchase requisition for an approval workflow before the purchase order gets created, or a vendor invoice, routing that through a workflow for approval. And the most advanced automation is when you get into full OCR, and that's where a PO or non-PO invoice can be, brought into the system. Datahaven will create the transaction or automatically link that document to the relevant record in the system using OCR, and then various workflows can take place. What I wanted to highlight with this slide is the fact that, once again, the level of automation can depend not only based on the organization, but department. So the sales team might be able to utilize basic automation, whereas the AP team can really benefit from the OCR capability. So we would implement the advanced automation in those areas. So with that, I'm actually going to get into our demo environment. Give me 1 second. And let me just refresh our Business Central environment. So as you can see here, I've gone into a vendor card for CommaCycle, and over on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the Datahaven fact box that's been added to this page. Now, immediately what comes up to me is the virtual folder structure that's been entered into the system. So if you go to a particular, in this case, vendor card, and you're looking for a contract or a W-9, you don't have to filter or search through various files that have been attached, because within the Datahaven folder structure, we have subfolders to attach information to a contract or tax documents for W-9, so users can easily drill down and find the information they want. We also have the ability to search for those files, and I'll get to that in just a moment. From this window, Datahaven also allows users to view transactions for this particular vendor. So for example, if I wanted to go and see the posted invoices for CommaCycle, I can drill down, and here's a list of all of the posted invoices. If I wanted to look to see if there are documents attached to invoice 106075, I can select that folder, and by simply clicking, I can actually see the vendor invoice that was attached to the posted purchase invoice within Business Central. But Datahaven takes it a step further. Not only can we actually go in and look at that vendor invoice directly from the vendor card, but if I want to, I can actually launch that record. So I can actually go directly to the posted purchase invoice if I needed to do some further investigation. Perhaps I wanted to drill down and take a look at the packing slip, or if I wanted to review any information that was attached to the purchase order. Users can easily navigate within Business Central directly from the Datahaven interface and find the documents that they're looking for quickly and easily every time. Now, how do we get those documents into the system? Well, I've created a purchase order within Business Central. And once again, we have the Datahaven folder structure over on the right-hand side. And if we go and look under vendor communications, you can see no documents have been attached. I did want to highlight the fact, though, for the PO lines, once again, Datahaven, depending on how complex you want the folder structure to be, can allow users to navigate and easily see documents that were attached to the item card in this case. So when an item is added to a purchase order or sales order, Datahaven's fact box will update with a folder that will allow them to see any documents that were attached to that particular item. But once again, how do we get documents attached to this particular record? So I'm going to go ahead, and here you can see we've got vendor communication. There's currently nothing there. Well, I'm going to pull up Outlook, and here you can see the order that I entered into the system is actually based on a quote that we received from Tim Smith at CommaCycle. And I want to attach this to the purchase order within Dynamics. With Datahaven, users can do that simply by selecting the email and dragging and dropping it onto the Datahaven window. What Datahaven will do at this point, though, is we're going to open up a window allowing users to choose the type of document that they're attaching. Now, this subtype menu is fully customizable, so you can have as many or as few options as you want. And I'm going to select the vendor quote. And now, when you look under vendor communication, you can see we've taken that email and we've named it vendor quote. So, 6 months down the road, if we want to find the vendor quote, we're not going to have to search through the system and open up multiple files because it's not been clearly identified which one is the quote. With Datahaven, we're going to always name the files accordingly. And just to show you another example, if we have an acknowledgement that came in saying that the vendor received our purchase order and we wanted to archive that, once again, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight the vendor communication where we want to store that. And I can actually drag this email and select vendor acknowledgement. So once again, there you can see, we're just looking for ways to make it easier for users to find the relevant documents down the road when they're looking for something perhaps a month or 2 months down the road or during an audit. Now, with Datahaven, users have the ability to drag and drop files. We also can allow users to upload information to the system using a scanner. So if you have a local scanner attached to this particular purchase order, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and post this purchase order and have it create a posted invoice. Oh, whoops, it looks like I forgot my vendor invoice number. Give me 1 second just to refresh. It looks like Business Central just froze up on me for a second. Well, here, let me actually go into one of our posted purchase invoices.
Mitch, while you're doing that, we do have a question that came through, so when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Does the document in Outlook that you are dragging and dropping have to be in a certain format?
Great question. No, it does not. You can actually either drag the entire Outlook message over, and it will also bring over any attachments. If you just wanted to bring over a PDF attachment or an Excel file, you can do that as well. So Datahaven's going to support any file type.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So in here, I did want to show a couple different ways that we can get files attached to records within the system. So as I mentioned, we do have the scanner option if someone has a local scanner. I also have the ability where I can browse out to a network folder. So if I wanted to attach an invoice, for example, that had been scanned into the system, I can actually attach records that way. And we'll label that as an invoice. And once again, when I update the file, then we'll have the invoice support that's clearly listed here as well. So with Datahaven, a lot of it really is about the navigation. I know it may sound a little bit like a broken record, but from what I've heard from our customers, it's one of the key reasons they decided to go with the solution is they were looking for a way to identify the documents they needed and also to be able to search for them as well. Now we've highlighted how Datahaven can be used to support the ability to drag and drop files, to be able to scan, and to be able to upload them. But I wanted to show, based on feedback that we've gotten from our customers, one area that they found incredibly useful, and that is on the purchasing side, being able to access supporting documentation from a payment journal. So I've gone into the payment journals and I've gone ahead and created a journal entry for CommaCycle where I've applied 2 entries. So I've attached 2 invoices in the system. So from here, you can easily see with Datahaven, we can navigate and look at the invoices that were attached so we can see the vendor invoices. In the file naming, we set up the system so within the naming convention, it's not only indicating the vendor name, but also the amount that's being paid. And within the naming of the actual invoice, not only are we showing the vendor invoice, it's pretty long in this case, but the 344 number, that's actually the vendor invoice number that was entered into Dynamics. We've also entered in the purchase invoice number, which is 108071, and the vendor name. So there's a lot of information that's available to users within this folder structure. And that only not applies to the invoices, but we also from the payment journal can actually see down to the packing slips that were stored against the receipts, as well as any information that was stored against the purchase order. I've heard from a lot of customers where they want a way to easily navigate from the payment journal to see the supporting documentation so that they can either approve or reject that payment. And Datahaven provides that. And not only does it provide access to those supporting documents directly from this record where I can simply click on the document and it's going to show me the image. Once again, it does give users the ability to not only view, but also navigate to those various transactions as well. And I think there is a lot of power in that capability. Also within the system, it allows users to view any notes that have been attached to a particular file. So we're going to have a complete history that relates to each document that's stored using Datahaven. So in this file, I can see the date it was created and indexed. A few days ago, I put in a note. And if I wanted to add another note, for example, let me go ahead and type this in. So if I called them because I needed to delay payment and they agreed to that, I can go ahead and save a note that relates to this specific transaction that then users, provided they have the appropriate rights, would be able to view at a later time.
Mitch, we do have one more question.
Okay.
Once you have a document in a Datahaven folder, is there a way to store it in multiple folders without repeatedly dragging it and dropping over the original document?
I guess in terms of in multiple floors, the system is designed so that you can store it in one folder, ideally, and then what we would do is we would make it visible in other areas depending on the exact requirements. So as an example, you could actually save it into a folder on a sales order, but then have that folder be visible on a purchase order. I'm not sure if that's answering the question, but we do have that capability, and chances are we would be able to handle, based on talking with our customers, any document management requirement in terms of being able to store files, we'll be able to handle them. But that's something, if we want to follow up with them to gather some more specifics, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, great. Yes, that did answer his question.
Okay. And one other, just because it was mentioned, Datahaven also does support the ability, if you want to drag and drop or upload multiple files at once. For example, and I'll just go ahead and do this as an example. If I wanted to go and attach several files, I can actually click multiple files that I want to upload, and we'll say that these are supporting documents. And what will happen is it's actually going to upload all of those files and name them as supporting documents. So with Datahaven, it supports not only uploading one file at a time, but you can actually upload multiple files, and that also applies to emails as well. Now, we've been focusing a lot on the capture side. I wanted to go over and highlight the delivery capabilities that Datahaven provides. And to do that, I know there are probably some users on the line that are still using the Windows client. So I'm going to hop over and show that feature within the Windows client so that everyone on today's session can not only see what the folder structure looks like within the web client, but also the Windows client. And as you can see here, it's relatively similar. So I've gone into a purchase order within the system. And within the purchase order that I'm about to send out to the vendor, what I want to do is attach some additional files. So not only do I want to send out the PO, but in this case, I want to send out the spec sheet and the picture. If I wanted to add assembly instructions, in order to add that with Datahaven, you simply highlight the file that you want to attach and click the Mark Selected Item. Now we have these three items that we want to send out with the PO, and users can send out the purchase order, and this would also apply to sending out a sales order confirmation or sales invoice, for example. With Datahaven, I just do a capture PDF and send. And this is going to take all of those files and attach them to an email that we're about to send out. And we've automatically filled in the body of the email with a template that's been created in the system, and you can obviously customize this template. But what I wanted to show here is the fact that not only do we have the purchase order attached that we're sending to the vendor, but we also have the supporting documentation attached to that email as well. So if you wanted to send design documents, spec sheets, or any other forms with the outbound message, Datahaven can support that. And that can either be an automated process where the files are automatically attached, or as I just showed, users have the ability to manually attach them. So hopefully that's given you an overview as to how Datahaven can enhance Business Central and NAV. I'm going to switch back over to my slide deck just to go through a couple more slides, and then we'll finish up with some additional time for Q&A. Now, one thing I didn't have time for because it's rather complex to show. If you want to see Datahaven's OCR demonstration of that, feel free to reach out to your Novia representative and we can arrange a demonstration. The Datahaven OCR engine replaces the front-end manual data entry task by automating it with OCR, which is also referred to as optical character recognition. With Datahaven, a user simply validates or corrects the data that the OCR engine has extracted. The extracted data is imported directly into the Dynamics record. However, unlike other OCR engines on the market, the Datahaven OCR engine isn't just a data entry tool for vendor invoices. It also supports other document types as well, such as customer POs, creating a sales order transaction within Dynamics, packing slips, having those come in and automatically attached to the receipt, or proof of delivery documents. The Datahaven OCR engine allows organizations to create and post Dynamics records based on the extracted data from any type of document as well, whether it be an email, a scanned document, or a fax. OCR technology will extract the header and line detail information and automatically create the record and identify any exceptions. Unlike competitors who use an external connector, Datahaven is integrated with Dynamics, so we can easily identify a vendor invoice, for example, that's been sent in multiple times and ensure that a duplicate entry is not created within the system. Now, with the Datahaven OCR engine, when an email or scanned document comes in, it goes into one of our workflow queues. And you can see that on screen, we have several. And just so you know, this is an area I'm going to talk about in a moment where we're actually going to be updating the screen to have more of a business central look and feel. But from the screen, users can see how many documents are currently in OCR, waiting, receiving. So various exception queues that have been put into the system. Now, for a perfect match, when a vendor invoice comes in, for example, and all of the fields match up, the system can either put that into a workflow queue called ready to post, meaning that everything is matched up. We have a receipt for this particular transaction, and a viewer can review the information, or the system can be configured to automatically, when everything's validated, have it post that order and have it create an invoice, or post that invoice and have it create a posted purchase invoice. But most importantly, what happens when there's an exception? Well, with Datahaven, we can identify those exceptions. So for example, if a vendor invoice comes in that has a shipping charge that's not on the originating PO, that would go into an exception queue, where within the system, as you can see towards the bottom of your screen, it may be a little bit hard to read, but the PO analysis, that yellow truck, that indicates that there is a shipping charge that was not on the original PO. And then a user can determine what they want to happen, if they want to either reject that because of the shipping charge, or post this purchase order and add the shipping to the transaction. Another exception that we see quite common is when an invoice may arrive, but a purchase receipt or a posted purchase receipt has not been entered for that transaction. Obviously, we don't want to post the transaction since the goods have not been received. And once again, Datahaven's technology is smart enough, and the OCR engine is smart enough to identify those exceptions. We also have the ability to identify any mismatch information. So there's a lot of power within the system. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of those with these screenshots. Once again, if you want to see a full OCR demonstration, feel free to reach out to your Novia rep and we'll be able to arrange that. And with our OCR demonstrations, what we'd like to do is get a sample set of your files so that we can incorporate them into the demo. So you would see what the OCR engine would look like with your information, not some demo information that we provide. Now, with Datahaven, one thing that I like to point out is there is an incredibly strong ROI to organizations that implement our offerings, whether it be simply using the drag and drop capability all the way up to OCR. And we have a powerful ROI calculator that can help determine which is the best solution for you. If you're interested in receiving a copy of that, feel free to reach out to myself or Angie and the Innovia team, and I'll be happy to provide that to you. Just to give everyone a little bit of insight into our roadmap, what we have planned for the future. Currently, while we do support Business Central Cloud customers, our App Source submission is in the process of being submitted and approved, and we should have that done by the end of this month. So if you don't see us on App Source, we will be there very shortly. We're also, as I mentioned, going to be updating our workflow queues to have a more user-friendly experience, as well as familiarity for Business Central and Dynamics CRM users. And that should be happening sometime in July. And we've all heard a little bit about Power Apps. It's an exciting development platform, and we're embracing it here at Datahaven. The team is currently working on a few Power Apps that we're going to be offering our customers. And this is going to really give users the ability to be able to not only easily retrieve and search documents from their cell phone, for example, the ability to be able to then launch records from the app itself, but also the ability to approve transactions while on the go as well. So to conclude, one of the reasons, or some of the reasons I think that people should choose Datahaven is the fact that the company has been in business for over 25 years. And not only has the company in business for over 25 years, we've been providing document management, automation, and approval solutions for CRM and ERP customers. Over 10 years of our experience has been within the Dynamics space. Our support and development teams are based in North America, so we can assist your organization quickly in the unlikely event that an issue arrives, and our team can also help with implementation. Our tools have an incredibly strong ROI for companies of any size, and our integration with most of the Dynamics offerings means the ROI will only increase should you decide to deploy Dynamics CRM in addition to Business Central, for example. And hopefully, as you saw during the demonstration, the patented virtual folders and deep data linking, I think, is something that really sets our solution apart from some of the other offerings that are in the marketplace, because it allows users to find documents not only over the next month, but for years to come. And as the volume of documents that's attaching to transactions increase, it's only going to make things easier. And that can become incredibly important as companies continue to grow in the future. In terms of next steps, we really think that you should discuss the benefits of electronic document management with your Innovia account manager and how they will be able to benefit your organization. Request a copy of the ROI calculator so you can see the returns that your organization would see. And most importantly, I think today is a good overview of our solution, but I'd like the opportunity to present to each one of you one-on-one based on your unique requirements. So once again, if you'd like to arrange a demonstration, feel free to reach out to myself or Innovia. With that, I want to thank everyone for attending today's session. And Angie, I guess, are there any additional questions that came in?
Thank you. Thank you, Mitch. Yes, we do have a few questions. What is a high-level estimate of the number of hours of training needed to learn how to create OCR templates?
Typically, that's as part of our implementation process. As far as training just for the OCR component, I would say that's something that can probably be done in about half a day, maybe a little bit less.
Okay. And on ORC, what does it mean by no transaction fee?
In terms of the no transaction fee for OCR, with a lot of solutions in the marketplace, they will charge a fee based on each document that OCR is used to scan and create the transaction within Dynamics. So you'll have different blocks. So if you wanted to do, let's say, 1 to 10,000 documents for OCR, that would be one block, and they have different tiers. With Datahaven, we don't have a volume-based pricing structure.
Okay, thank you. And can the Datahaven file structure and file naming be customized?
Yes. So with our app source submission, we're putting together a standard baseline folder structure for organizations to use that will be probably, I would say, 80, 85% of organizations will probably be fine with that folder structure. But Datahaven is completely customizable. So based on an organization's unique requirements, we can customize the folder structure and naming convention to, fit the unique needs of a particular vertical market, for example.
Okay. And can I use Datahaven to send sales invoices to customers?
Yes, similar to what I showed with sending out the PO, Datahaven can be used to send out sales order confirmations, posted sales invoices. If you want to send out a statement, really any record that you want to deliver, Datahaven supports.
All right, thank you. And does Datahaven provide OCR at a line level?
Yes. So, and really that depends on the organization's requirements. Oftentimes we find with a PO-based invoice, for example, that's typically when line level comes into play. Some organizations are fine with what's called PO total matching, where it will actually see the total of the invoice matches the total of the PO, and that's acceptable to the finance team. But the system can also validate at a line level. And for your non-PO based invoices, when those come in, Datahaven can be used to actually create the purchase invoice lines as well.
Okay, thank you. And one last question. Do you support attaching files to fixed assets?
Yes. So any page within the system or any record or page within Dynamics Business Central or NAV, Datahaven is going to support, including fixed assets.
All right, well, I believe those are all the questions that we have for you today. If anybody has any further questions, you can contact Mitch or you can contact your account rep at Inovia Consulting, and we would be happy to discuss more with you. So thank you, Mitch, for presenting today.
Thank you, Angie.
And to everyone on our webinar today, or if you're watching on demand, we thank you for joining us. And to let you know, we do have a few more webinars coming soon. Next Tuesday, we have John Grant and Jenny Hollingsworth with us, and they will be continuing their Business Central for Manufacturing 101 series, and they're going to be presenting on BC does subcontracting too. And then we have Maria from Avalara joining us on Wednesday, and she's going to be presenting on leveraging Avalara, managing exempt customer experiences within Microsoft Dynamics. So if you're interested in any of those webinars or any of our upcoming webinars, visit our website page at inovia.com/events. And Inovia has a podcast that is going on. If you haven't heard of it already, it's called the Inovia Conversation. And we just want to encourage you to listen to the selection that Steve Waltz and Jeff Pergolski have provided to us over the past year and a half. You can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's inovia.com/podcast. So check out the selection and subscribe so you'll be notified when those new episodes air. And Inovia is proud to be a premier sponsor for Community Summit, which is coming up October 6th through the 9th in Nashville, Tennessee. And Summit is the annual gathering for all Microsoft Dynamics Nav and Business Central users and supporters. This event is full of great sessions to help develop leadership skills, improve Nav VC skills, and learn how to get more from the investment our companies have made in the tool we use to run our businesses every day. So check out our conference page, and that's inovia.com/conferences for more details and to save on your Summit registration. All right, everyone, that's a wrap. Thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Inovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.